Hello, hi, and hello. This is Roll Your Stats. It's the Character Creation Cast with the Character Creation Crew. I'm your host, Trevor.
I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm your host, Peyton.
Hey boys, you guys ready to do the dang thing again?
Oh, let's load up the dice. Let's put them in the cannon. We'll shoot them across the wall and see what sticks.
Heck yeah. Projectiles.
It depends on the dice, but they may go straight through the wall. Like these that I'm using now these are solid metal dice, so you could take a man's head off with these dice.
Hey man, maybe it's time for an artificer.
Keep them away from Guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. You're so right. All right. So then we're going to hit our table like we always do. We're going to roll a d20 to determine the race of our character. We've got a couple pulled off here. Human, Furbolg, Tiefling, Aarakocra. So we're just going to roll us a d20 here just to see who we're going to talk about today. Oh boy, the first one. The first one's always, it's like the die is like heavier than normal.
You got the jitters.
We rolled us a 5. Oh, all right. Polish your teeth, polish your scales, boys. We got us a Dragonborn.
Oh, I have a love-hate relationship with Dragonborn. I feel like I've never seen any art with them where their heads weren't too big.
Just bulbous.
Okay, that's interesting. My first question was going to be, what's your beef, brother?
I want
totally
to like
fair.
them. I want to like them so much, but every bit of art that I've ever seen, their heads are they're obscenely big. Like their heads are too big for their body.
It's genetics. They can't help it.
Yeah, it throws me every time.
Faye and I actually just had this I just had this thought the other day. We were playing No Man's Sky, and we got to the point where we could finally customize our characters, and every single option that I had, the head was just colossal, and it was just, man, it totally threw me off.
Why do we do this? Why do we have this as an option?
Yeah, there's something, I guess, proportional, like coolness is proportional to dome size.
Gonna be like a giant toddler with a floppy head.
Yeah, there's a direct correlation. I guess it goes either way, though, because if your head gets too small, you go back into not being cool anymore.
Oh, it's a bell curve.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Pinhead.
So then we're talking about Dragonborns here, not in the Elder Scrolls, like, reborn sort of, like, dragon Jesus. We're talking more like I am a human ancestor, or like an anthropomorphic dragon ancestor of a human and a dragon. Is that correct?
It's actually a really good question.
Yeah, feed me that, baby bird me this information. Hit me with that handbook.
The Player's Handbook says of the Dragonborn, born of dragons, as their name proclaims, the Dragonborn walk proudly throughout the world that greets them with fearful incomprehension. Shaped by draconic gods of the dragons themselves, Dragonborn originally hatched from dragon eggs as a unique race, combining the best attributes of dragons and humanoids. Some Dragonborn are faithful servants to true dragons. Others form the ranks of soldiers in great wars, and still others find themselves adrift, with no clear calling in life. So it sounds like they popped straight out of eggs. Dragon had a clutch millennia, eons ago, and instead of getting dragons, they got people dragon.
What the?
Wow, could you imagine that first dragon's reaction?
What the hell is that?
I would have to believe surely there was some sort of like plan behind it, or at least like maybe an inkling that could be an option, because otherwise, what a jarring thing to like if any of us were to have like a child, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, no, this is my kid, a bird.
Oh wow, yeah, and it's completely not completely, like 90% anthropomorphically different than you are. How do I even raise this thing? Like, where does it poop from? Oh, and then just think of it like scale wise. They're just is it innate for most dragons in this canon to be able to like shift into a human form? I guess that's something that's happened to me in a lot of games. I just don't know if that's like a prevalent thing outside of what I've experienced.
I mean, bards are gonna bard one way or another, man.
Well,
I heard that. So then, and I think that could be one of those things where it's depending on what your DM's doing and what happened in your world. There could be some kind of unique, interesting explanation to that could be fun for the party to explore, to find out how the first Dragonborn split off from their ancestry.
Yeah.
They also did an interesting thing in that paragraph there of, I don't know, because it kind of read like if you took out the word Dragonborn, like some people are faithful servants to true gods, others form the ranks of soldiers in great wars, and still others find themselves adrift with no clear calling in life. Like that could just be a description of human.
Very true.
Goodness, you're right.
So then mechanically, what does that mean for a player to be a Dragonborn?
Actually, there's a handful of different options, but if we're sticking with the player's handbook, then mechanically you get the option of +2 strength and +1 on charisma stats. Dragonborn, they age quickly. They walk hours after hatching and attain the size and development of a 10-year-old human child by the age of 3. They reach adulthood by roughly the age 15, and they live to around 80 years old. Alignment, Dragonborns tend towards extremes, making a conscious choice from one side or the other between good and evil, represented by, Bahamut or Tiamat, respectively. More side with Bahamut than Tiamat, whose non-dragon followers are mostly kobolds, but villainous Dragonborn can be quite terrible indeed. Some rare few choose to devote themselves to lesser dragon deities, such as Chronepsis, who is a neutral dragon god, and fewer still choose to worship Io, the ninefold dragon, who is all alignments all at once.
Whoa, jeez.
Those last two descriptions were just so cool.
I honestly, I really like a character that is just so drastically pulled to one of the extremes. There's not going to be a lot of wishy-washy, not a lot of gray. Probably in this character's mindset, it is all probably very, very stark.
Does that mean we should alter our dice roll in any way? Should we limit it to take out those middle ground ones?
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Could be all or nothing type deal.
I don't know, but we also have this one, like it said, Io, the ninefold dragon, who is all alignments at once. So I think there's still room for us to play with that.
Yeah, right before that, they talked about Chronepsis, the neutral dragon, and so I say, really, we just let the dice tell us which one of the dragon gods we're going to follow.
That's cool.
True.
That's cool.
What if we do, like, it says, like, we have to kind of take it to an extreme. We do a D4, and we get, like extreme, like, lawful good, or, like, chaotic evil, or, like, if it's a neutral, or if we hit that fourth one, then it's all of the above.
Interesting.
Ooh, I like that a lot. We break it down into just the 4 of good, evil, neutral, or all.
Cool. I'll set aside the D4.
And then don't Dragonborn also have different variants as well? Of, like, you've got your fire type style. I'm making it sound like a Pokemon. You've got your fire type, poisonous.
Which one of these dragons is an oddish?
Yeah.
But you are right. You are right. They get to choose, really, they get to run the gamut of all of the quintessential chromatic and all of the quintessential metallic. You get black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, or white.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should we just roll a D10 to determine the color?
They made it so easy for us.
I know what you mean. We'll do it then. Okay, I'll set aside the D10 for that roll as well.
Depending on what lineage you fall into, changes the damage type as well as the shape of your breath weapon, which, as side note, every Dragonborn does get a type of breath weapon. The DC on the saving throw for this attack is 8 plus your Constitution modifier plus proficiency bonus, and a creature takes 2d6 on a failed save and half as much on a successful one. The damage increases to 3d6 at 6th level, 4d6 at 11, 5d6 at 16. Then after using your breath weapon a number of times equal to your con mod, you have to take a short or long rest before you can use it again.
Very cool. There's something just innately awesome, and I feel like that's really useful and fun for because you just get that built in. So that's something you can use right at level 1. What cooler thing is there at level 1 than being able to look at someone who's antagonizing you and just blow a fire breath weapon in their face.
Just blast them away.
I mean, so could that make like a unique like situation? Say this, not this character themselves, but like in the future, say you are like a fighter or something, and someone is restrained by you. Can you like look down at them while you're restraining them and just straight breath attack them? Because I mean, you don't require any hands, any signs, anything like that. You just breathe your attack on them.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't require any sort of component.
I feel like
I would allow that at my table.
I feel like if anything, you would have advantage on that because they can't get away from it.
Right? Yeah, they're kind of stuck with you.
Yeah, I automatically have a mental image of a dragonborn who's got the dude like pinned down to the ground, and he just like burps up a like vomit of just poison or acid that just spills on top of him. Like, oh my gosh, how devastating.
All right, how do you want to do this? Well, just melting their face, like skull, like straight down to bone.
Exactly, yeah. There's just a like smoldering skeleton left.
Ugh. It's like
oh, I love it.
It's like Reptile from Mortal Kombat type stuff there.
That is the vibe I was getting.
In that case, I think like let's go ahead and do these two. Mm-hmm. Let's do that one for alignment, and then let's do the one for color, and then we can just keep rolling with it. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So then let's go ahead and roll alignment for the character. I think that'll be a fun kind of place to start off, kind of going early on. So Peyton, you had said earlier, what was the 4 order? What will be our 1, 2, 3, 4?
So our 1, 2, 3, 4 was going to be a lawful good, a chaotic evil, a true neutral, and a all of the above.
Gotcha. Let's roll us a D4 here. We got us a 2, so that gives us a chaotic evil dragonborn.
Smog?
Smaug.
Schmouge. All right, so then let me go ahead and write that down as well.
I kind of like the process that we're going through with this one. I think it would be fun to keep all of the colors open and available just on the off chance that we do get a metallic evil dragon, because it's not absolutely unheard of, but he's certainly going to be a weird bird.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Let's go ahead and roll that the D10 for the coloration then, because we want to figure out which direction that's pointing us in. And I feel like that one will already, it'll help me for sure paint a picture in my head, I guess, just by getting a color for the character. And here it comes. 2. This is a blue lightning dragonborn.
Whoa.
Chaotic evil blue dragonborn.
So isn't it that the what is it? Colors are good, metallic are evil?
It is quite the opposite. The colors are the routinely evil ones. They are the followers of the 5-headed chromatic dragon goddess, Tiamat. And then the metallics, the metal-colored ones, are usually the lawful good followers of the platinum dragon, Bahamut.
I see. So then do you know, enough... it doesn't have to be something to look up unless you really want to, but is there anything off the top of your head? Because I'm not really familiar with like Tiamat and Bahamut. I guess I have like an image in my head for Tiamat. I do know like the King Ghidorah style sort of figure with the multiple colored heads, but I'm not really familiar with how they function or interact in the lore or the canon. I mean, do you have like a bit about that?
From what weird little bit of tidbit old D&D lore that I can remember, if I remember it right, at one point Tiamat and Bahamut were actually the same god. They both represented Io, the ninefold dragon. But through some sort of primordial fight, I think with like a previous deity in a previous edition, a mortal wound onto Io actually split them in half, one half resulting in the purely chaotic evil Tiamat, and then one splitting off into the purely lawful good Bahamut, the platinum dragon. After that, I don't know a whole lot. I do know that Tiamat usually does represent a lot of the end-all be-all conception of chaotic evil, and then Bahamut sits on the other end of that, being really a draw for almost any and every kind of lawful good paladin. The platinum dragon is always like a very standard, easy to go to god to follow if you are righteous all the way down to your core.
I see. Right on. That was actually like that was really good, dude. That was really in depth. I like that a lot, Michael. Right on.
20 years of nerdy book reading.
And I think that's really sweet that there's That's right. Something about, the god of all alignments getting wounded and splitting into their most extremes that's just so interesting and so cool.
I mean, way back in the original beginning of time, having the dragon of everything split into the dragon of pure good and pure evil,
and then still be enough to like continue.
Yeah, in that creature, in and of itself being so powerful that even half of it is still considered a god.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we need to figure out. Let's go figure out the gender of our character. Let's figure out who we're actually talking about here. 5. We've got a they. Also, again, incredibly fair. I feel like once you start breaking off into these, I don't know, maybe more outside of the box, like bordering on monstrous races, like surely they just don't carry the same concept of gender norms as you would see in normal people's society. So running into a they dragonborn probably isn't all that uncommon. Yeah, I love the idea that they're perhaps just these magical creatures that, whenever they decide to conceive a child or another dragonborn, it's just this purely magical, I do it because I will it into existence so hard,
Yep.
And that would seem to maybe forge like a really, if that was the case, that would seem like it would forge a really unique and powerful bond between like parent and child, where at some point the child would know, like, if I want to create my own offspring, I have to like go through all of this effort and will it into existence, and that's what my parent did for me. And there's kind of like a Pinocchio sort of thing there, where it's like, you are my god and my parent at the same time.
You can also see it as like, if your partner, their partners really love each other, then, it doesn't matter who they are. They will make it work. They will figure out a way to conceive an offspring. They don't, it doesn't you don't have to have a mother or father. You just have to have a pair that have been truly bonded, and they can, through their bond, they conceive this child.
I really like that little tidbit of flavor that you might have just kind of put onto Dragonborn society just now, Peyton. Yes. I absolutely love the idea that Dragonborn children are created of like want and desire to make another one. Like, you have to want to make another one to even like run the risk during your dragon sexy times of actually popping like a child out.
And even to the point of them, like, perhaps, you're two beings that aren't even sexually compatible, and you can still form a child because you just want it so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, that is sick. That is so cool. And man, it's also like, it's just beautiful, and like that genuinely like made me tear up a little bit.
I really do actually kind of like the concept of like a world where if a couple wanted a child bad enough, that maybe some D&D deity would smile down onto them and bless them with a kid. And it just so happens that more often than not, it's a very, very like in-tuned dragon god that is like, well, if you want a child, then here you go, take one of mine,
born of the weave and the hopes and beliefs of all of mankind.
Oh, that's so righteous,
powerful.
And then like, you could have some cool things where, a dragonborn and I can't think of what they're called. Peyton, we've looked them up at work before. Remember those bee people that we were looking up?
Oh gosh, what were they called?
The dragonborn and those, like, the bee race meet, and the two of them fall in love, and they make a little dragonborn that's got like a black and white, or not black and white, but black and yellow scale pattern on it or something. And so it's just, they combine these cool different facets.
Man, that is 30 kinds of cute. I kind of even like the idea of two races that don't even that aren't dragonborn in the least bit, like kind of reaching out in like a divine plea that they want a child, and one of the dragon gods hearing that, and it's like, all right, fine then, you guys You seem like you'd be a fair enough couple. Halfling and orc. There you go.
They have to be judged by the god of like fertility and childhood kind of deal. Have to be judged in their eyes. Kind of, it'd almost be like they have this like mating ritual, and in this bonding session, they are brought before this god in their mind's eye, and the god judges them and says, I believe your bond is strong enough to, hold up this child. So I will grant one of my children to you.
Man. Well, Dragonborns are immediately way cooler than like the big-headed, goofy-looking creatures that I'd made them out earlier. I rescind that entirely.
And
dude,
side note for the bee people, I'm probably going to mispronounce this horribly, but Hominopium. I'm pretty sure I really butchered that, but Hominopium.
The Hominepium.
Hominepium. There we go. Hey.
Hominepium. Cool. That's rad. To get back to the mechanical things, we've got a few. I see we also have a damage resistance. So we get a damage resistance to the type of damage associated with our ancestry. So that would give us a resistance to lightning damage.
I like that a lot. Again, another layer of kind of flavor, and really depending on where you're at, that's very, very beneficial.
Certainly, but and I also just thought. So we were just talking about this very, thoughtful, very moving sort of backstory for why these things happen, and it's so like very sweet kind of in a way, but then we're dealing with an evil character, so it's like we're about to taint that thing. So then how does that come about? How does, is this someone was genuinely made out of a blessing of love? But were they the product of two evil people, or are they the product of an evil environment?
I mean, we could, the god doesn't judge based on, that this is just my seeing it. The god doesn't judge based on alignment, and judges on the bond of this, of the bond of the two that have created the child. But it could also be, we could turn this into a sad backstory and be like, well, this evil wizard got mad that, his apprentice that he loved kind of deal went off and ran away with some, blacksmith, got into a relationship, and then the wizard found them and just lightning bolted them after they created the kid in the egg, and say, it's a blue lightning dragonborn because the lightning bolt hit the egg but didn't kill the child inside.
Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Heck, I think really, maybe we could even pick like a best of both worlds, since we ride that line between Tiamat and Bahamut is which of the dragon gods gave you their blessing.
Very true.
Which one of the dragon gods look like the desire, because you can have desire and be evil. You can want something and not be a good person, and so really maybe just the desire, the like your own personal need for that is what can draw the attention of one of the dragon gods, and then it just happens to be which one of them did you pull.
Or maybe they show up as one and the same, and I don't know, maybe your alignment kind of pulls in the direction of where the child will fall,
and then your own alignment is what long term affects the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
It's both a nature and nurture sort of situation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or it's a panel and all the gods are sitting there fighting over who's going to give you a kid.
Who gets the kid?
They round table it and they just...
that could also be a possible thing. That could be one of those things where that is the ultimate, kind of backstory for this character, and someone who actually gets to play them, and they eventually get to the late game, and they get to go and meet these people who fought for their direction in life.
Yeah, they're very right to existence.
Get to have that conversation with them of like, are any of my thoughts actually mine? Are my desires mine, or am I just driven by you?
Man, depending on the personality traits that we pull, I feel like that might be like a very hard driving factor.
Certainly. So let's move kind of in that direction. First, let's figure out the age of the character. So then we're gonna do the D12 method.
I think that is a great idea. Maybe we modify it to remove one of the D12s so that it represents, getting into adulthood by 15 and your upper limits of age being 80.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. So let me pull up my D12. So we're going to do 12 at base. And then 12 plus 6, 2, 6. Those are 26.
Well in line.
Well in line. And that that's in the area of where a Dragonborn would be, adventuring around in a party. That's also someone that I could see still being within the realm of I could see that being a potentially a level 3 character.
Yeah, because they did reach adulthood at 15 technically, so slightly younger in age-wise than a human, but maturity level, they've aged a little bit faster.
I always find that such a weird concept, the idea of like hitting physical maturity at a certain age, because I thoroughly believe that there's only so much knowledge that you can only really kind of pull in throughout the years. And sure, like book knowledge you can pull in, but like actual living experience knowledge comes from living the experience. And so you hit the conceptual age of adulthood at 15, but you still only have all of the experiences and built up knowledge of someone that has 15 years of experience.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, because you could still what kind of wisdom can you gain in that amount of time?
Right, it's kind of hard to have that wisdom of an adult when you are only 15 and you quite literally have only 15 years of witnessing and experiencing and being. So just an interesting, I don't know, just kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, especially with this, because at 26, that means this character's been the equivalent of, adulthood for 10 years. That's quite a long time to garner, like you said, kind of mastery over your craft or finding your kind of place in the world. But I could still see this character being kind of, I don't want to say naive, but still just sort of fresh in their ideals, I guess. Maybe still a little green.
Absolutely.
So then we're moving on down our list. I think it's time for us to determine my favorite role. Let's hit that class, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to grab the D12 again. We also have a handful pulled off: fighter, sorcerer, cleric, rogue. Because of some of the past characters that we've made, we don't want to step on anybody's toes. We want to give everybody the room to be their own person. So let's find out who this person is. The D12 is going to hit the box. 7, warlock.
Yeah, warlock.
I could see that because they want to know more about the deities of their alignment and how everything kind of came to be. So they've kind of sworn with one of them, maybe.
Oh, it kind of maybe goes back to what we were talking about their parent being their god in some way. So maybe that's their deity that they have the pact with.
I could see that, yeah.
What a better patron than, like the divine god that gave you spark to begin with.
Would it be the divine god that gave them spark? Would it be my pact is with, Tiamat, or is it my pact is with mom?
Oh my gosh, you're right. And really, I guess it's either or. It could almost be interchangeable of just like you are tied purely to the concept and less the individual.
Maybe you said their mother. Maybe their mother is like a devout follower who's been like touched and is sharing a pact with that deity as well. So like by conception, you are forced into the pact.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh, wow. By conception, you're forced into the pact, but then what if both of the individuals can affect it? So then you can pray to Tiamat, and Tiamat can actually like make some stuff really happen. Like in the instance of you using I don't know, well, a warlock wouldn't get access to this, but I was gonna say something like divine intervention. That's the time when like Tiamat would intervene divinely,
Yeah.
But say on a more minuscule scale, you have the pact with your mother as well, and just by saying like this person walks out the door, looks at their mom and says, "Wish me luck," and they say, "You bet, kid," and that is literally like they get good luck because for that whole day walking around because their mom, they made that little transaction.
Very true. Their mother could be the catalyst.
Better question: as a 26-year-old chaotic evil dragonborn, do they still have contact with their mother?
Yeah, do they still live at home?
It's not a phase, Mom.
I love. Do they live at home?
Oh, that could be, what if that goes into part of the motivation for the character? My mom is who I have my pact with. They're the one that gives me my power, but my mom has been kidnapped, and I still have access to my power, but I don't have access to her. And so you're like trying to track her down?
There we go.
That seems almost too noble for a chaotically evil.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. Oh, their pact is with their mother, but the mother has the real pact with Tiamat. So they're trying to kill their mom to take their place, to be Tiamat's chosen.
To usurp the mother.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Then is their mother a dragonborn like they are, or is their mother a blue dragon?
Oh, dude.
I mean,
Hell
you
yeah,
answered your own
Michael.
question there, brother.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yes, heavy metal.
That is what drives them, is the same nature of their family, to kill their own family and usurp their power.
Oh my gosh. You could say, like, they thought their mother was, just some regular dragonborn this entire time, when in all reality, their mother's just been, like, in their humanoid form. Just like, oh yes, I'm not very powerful. I do have this pact, but... And then, like, the one day they decided, like, well, it's my turn for the pact. They try to kill their mother. And then she's like, well, actually... And then just boom.
Yes, it is almost that scene from nearly every anime or kind of like, I'm going to rise up to finally like challenge my parent, and the parent doesn't really have the desire to end them. It's the Darth Vader Luke Skywalker maneuver, where it's, I don't want to kill you, I want to convert you so that now I have an equally strong pawn underneath my power.
I see. Perhaps the parent has some sort of greater sort of machinations as well. It's like, no, you're supposed to be, like you said, my pawn that I can move into place so that I can progress my agenda, and not only like you're throwing off my plan as well.
Yeah, because really, any full-blown adult-grown dragon, they're going to have machinations. An ancient blue dragon, probably some evil ones.
Yeah, and that's, we were just talking about it being like, it's this, they're developed through desire, and the ancient blue dragon's desire was like, their desire to usurp or do whatever their plan is so strong. Their plan is so well thought out that they created, it's like, I just need this one piece. All I need is this one piece, and I can make my plan work. And then that is this character. And then it goes back into, once again, that nature versus nurture. How am I pulled? Is it me doing my own thing? I'm made by you for this specific purpose? Is that all that I'm here for?
I would say this would be a good time to look at the character's personality, per se, to see what they would be doing.
You're right.
How they would approach this.
Ooh boy, I like that idea. Let me grab out 2 d20s. I'm going to roll them at the same time. Let's see what this advantage gets us. Once again, we've pulled a couple of things off to give us a little bit extra room. So let's see what we got. Okay, the first roll is a 3. Fearful. That's not what I expected. Interesting. Second roll, 18. Organized.
That one makes sense.
I love them both.
Organized, fearful. Let me write both of those down.
I love them both. You guys
speak to me about those. What do you think?
You guys know? Heck, do either of you guys know anything much about the Green Lantern Corps from the DC universe? The Yellow Lantern Corps.
I read quite a bit of like the Jeff Johns like Green Lantern. I think it was it Reborn whenever they came in and they kind of showed off all the other different cores.
Brightest Day and Darkest Night.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with like the core of the Yellow Core, which is the core of fear, but I'm not, I guess, a kind of surface level.
Fear, I don't know. I guess fearful. You could really look at Batman as being fearful. He uses it. It is a tool. It is constantly and ever presently there, always in the back of the mind. But it's a motivator. It's something to guard them from overstepping. It's something to push them to further heights so that they can overcome.
Fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of, what is my purpose? Fear of what have I become?
Fear of being weak.
Yes, or fear of failing and becoming their mother's pawn.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is strong. That's a good one.
Yeah, they're so driven. They're so made up in their own mind that they're, that can make some cool things where, perhaps they have a particular phobia of like getting mind controlled. And anytime that it does actually happen to them without, throughout the campaign, they have a distinct reaction to it.
A much more harsh reaction to anything that might like affect the inner workings of their mind, because that is something that like even they can't defend against. You can't strengthen that muscle. You can't defend yourself in that way with armor and shields and magic.
Oh yes, dude, yes.
The fear of throwing off the organization of their mind.
1,000%. I had this like such a cool mental image of, so they're getting mind controlled and they're not in control of themselves, and suddenly they snap out of it and they're back into kind of their own facilities, and then it's them, they close their eyes and it shoots into them inside their head, inside their mind palace, and the first thing they do is make sure that all of the the books in their mind palace representing their plans and their thoughts and their history or whatever are still in the correct order and they're right where they need to be, and that nothing has been, not a page is out of place.
Dude, I love that. I love that so much, because then like what if someone does happen to like take a piece of like just a small sliver of their memory or something like that, and then they notice in their mind's library, library palace of a mind, that something, one little book is missing.
I love that. Or maybe, that's the initial motivation for them leaving in the first place, is maybe they're going through the books in their mind library or whatever, like you said, and they finally find one old book that's at the very, very back of it, and they go and they look, and there's like a single name that's been smudged out or torn out, and it's just one piece of their, that is fundamental to them, has been stolen.
I feel like that would be enough to drive them insane, or certainly push them out of whatever they would consider a home to go and chase down that bit of lost knowledge.
That's their mother's true form that's missing. Just they know their mother, but they don't know, like, they've seen, when they were very, very young, they've seen their mother in her true form, but then like she is taking that memory from them. But that book that they have found deep inside that mind library finally has raised some questions, and maybe they start asking around.
Oh yeah, no, I like that too, where they have these images and these flashes of memories from their childhood where they saw this great ancient blue dragon, but the mom hasn't taken that form in a long time, and so they've been gaslighting the child. Saying, no, that's not me.
That is straight up an evil dragon thing to pull.
You're so right.
That is 150% like an evil dragon maneuver.
2 potential names just shot into the head.
Let's hear them.
Number 1, Zz'ithur. Zither.
Zz'ithur.
The second one, Vykul. Vykul.
Or why not both? That'd be their name.
Zz'ithur Vykul?
Mm-hmm.
Vykul Zz'ithur. Which one sounds better?
I kind of like Zz'ithur Vykul.
Yeah.
It almost even comes out of your mouth like you shouldn't have a human mouth to speak it to begin with.
Oh, dude, good point.
And short could be like Ziv.
Yeah.
Hey, Ziv, come over here, Z. You try this.
Mm-hmm. Man, I am certainly glad that you had a name, because I have like a little bit of Forgotten Realms knowledge, but any dragon name from Forgotten Realms is a nightmare for a human to try and pronounce.
I've been thinking about like a potential name for the mother too, but I had that in the back of my mind, is like no name that I could come up with, I think off the top of my head, would have enough syllables and consonants.
Yeah, there's like an apostrophe in there, or like a dash.
Yeah, like the Z, like apostrophe, and then like Zz'ithur, maybe, I don't know.
Right, the big Z apostrophe little Z. What's going on here?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, right? Like big Z, little Z apostrophe THUR.
Yeah.
A derogatory term someone could call is like, "Hey Zap, get over here. My name is Zz'ithur."
Ooh, Zap. Yeah, that's a good nickname. The electricity and lightning being part of that, innate backstory.
Okay.
Anytime someone calls. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna make a real dumb joke. I was gonna just make a dumb joke. But say, all right. So then, so far the evil party that we have a cleric, we have a ranger, we have a warlock.
Ooh.
We got the dragonborn, we got the air genasi, we have the tiefling.
Oh, that party's starting to come together.
Yeah. I mean, Castiel could truly be helping. She hears all names, all that. She knows all, basically. She hears from all the gods. So, I mean, she could be, like, either using Zz'ithur to their agenda or, maybe eventually helping them. Who's to say? Helping them find their mother, find this ancient dragon. Because
I like that.
Ancient dragons, they got hordes, right? They got monies.
Oh, you know it.
So
Dave.
Ooh.
Hey, maybe Castiel is the one that also hears the whispers from Zithur's mother.
Oh.
Yes, they potentially have access to Zz'ithur's truth. And
oh my! You just gave me so many ideas.
Yeah, and then it came off of you giving me ideas and saying, because then Zz'ithur has the motivation for the rest of the party, like what Peyton said. Hey, I need to track down this knowledge. If you help me track down this knowledge, you'll have access to my mother's hoard.
Boys, in a sense, it feels like through creating these characters, we are somewhat playing a D&D session.
Hey, dude, you're so right. That's good perspective, man.
One of these days we'll have to do an episode focused entirely maybe on like a setting piece, maybe drop a couple of cities and a couple of town names, maybe something to kind of build a world around it, because I agree, Peyton, this almost feels like we are slow rolling out a D&D story of our very own right now.
I love that it's just come through just random rolls. It's so interesting how there's still some kind of connective tissue throughout the whole thing, or maybe that's just the beauty of the game.
Honestly, yeah, a little bit of both.
We are in partisan creating this entire world through one character at a time.
Man, yeah, really good perspective. I think that's the only, maybe the only way that I could really do it. I think if the scope was any bigger, like it would be too hard to channel, I guess, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like it's almost too big to really step back and take a look at, but through the eyes of each one of these characters, we get to see the world.
All right, so then I think we need to find out the character background for Zz'ithur. And then do you think we can work from character background then on to kind of getting into the mechanics of what it means to be a warlock?
You saying that right now, I think it is a good idea for us to do background now, then go into stats and break down what the skills and everything would be after the background. That way we already have 2 skill options locked in, and the ones that we choose from are going to be maybe a more limited pool depending on the background.
Okay, so if we're looking at our list of backgrounds here, let's take a look at this list and see if anything screams at you, anything looks good. What's on this list? If I'm going by names, things that stand out so far, and I'm just going completely by the names of what sounds cool. Ruined sounds cool. Outlander sounds cool. Inheritor sounds really potentially cool. Haunted One, Acolyte, maybe not too far.
Man, has anybody looked into Inheritor yet?
Not at all. Let's give us the rundown.
I like Inheritor a lot because it comes baked in with the features Inheritance. Choose or randomly determine your inheritance from among the possibilities on the table below. Work with your DM to come up with details. Why is your inheritance so important? And what is it to its full story? You might prefer the DM to invest these details as part of the game, allowing you to learn more about your inheritance as your character does. The DM is free to use your inheritance as a story hook, sending you on quest to learn more about its history or true nature, or confronting you with foes who want to claim it for themselves or prevent you from learning what you seek.
I think we found our background, in my opinion.
Boy, don't you just love those moments where something just like screams at you and it's just it?
Right, when you make direct eye contact with like exactly what you needed.
Because I mean, the mother's literally like, we built the background before we even decided on what the background was, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Trevor, exactly the way that you were saying it just now. Isn't it weird how we talk about something we want and then we just find it and it's like, what do you know? There it is, just waiting for you. Like, what a really, and just kudos to D&D as a whole. Like, what a beautiful game. What a beautiful conceptual game to be able to like pull those weird, fun ideas that we have and then actually put them into something legitimate on paper.
Wow. Yeah, good point. Good point. These dudes have thought of everything.
It really feels like they have.
So then that will come with some proficiencies and things like that. What does that give us?
For proficiencies, you will get proficiency in survival +1 of Arcana, History, or Religion. You also gain your choice of a gaming set or a musical instrument. You can choose one extra language on top of the languages you already know, which as a Dragonborn is Common and Draconic. And then the equipment is your inheritance. You also get a set of traveler's clothes, the tools that you should choose for your background and your proficiency, as well as a pouch containing 15 gold.
Shall we roll a d8 to figure out what our inheritance should be?
I am grinning ear to ear at this because each one of these, any of these could be so much fun.
All right, here comes the d8. Let's see what we get. 7.
Yes, it's the weird one. It's the weird one.
Yes, me too. I was hoping for this one as well. A written story, song, poem, or secret.
Oh my gosh. The ballad of, we have to figure out the mother's name, but the ballad of insert mother's name, ancient like evil or something like that, and they carry around, say, like some lute or musical instrument, and they are constantly playing it on their, like, when they have free time, trying to figure out the meaning of said song.
I've got a tune stuck in my head. I have this song that I cannot forget, but it's a song that no one else has heard but me,
and it's sung in ancient Draconic.
My brain is splattered all over the wall behind me. That is just the coolest concept.
Yeah, Peyton, you just hook, line, and sinkered me right there.
It kind of reminds me of Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. The main character, Quoth, his father wrote this song about these ancient beings, and they don't want people to know about them, so they came and they murdered him. And so then it's been him trying to track these guys down. And I love the idea of song, of a story having that weight and that importance and something like that. That just, or maybe the idea that the truth of the mother was written down, but it was written down in the form of song. The fact that they would keep their secrets in song is just fascinating to me. That is so weird and unique.
You couldn't ask for a better hook, a better pull. Like, this is a great background for answering the age-old question of what gets me out of the town my character started in.
And I mean, like, we get the bonus of an additional language, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So per se, maybe yes, you are a Dragonborn, so you know like Draconic, but you don't know like bits and pieces of like ancient Draconic, and you're trying to decipher through the song on what it means.
Yeah.
Man, that's actually a really interesting idea, especially maybe if you even worked it out with your DM. The idea that, like, of course you know Draconic from your heritage, and you know Common because of the world that you live in, but maybe also in that world there is a second dialect of Draconic. There is that like ancient Draconic. There is that other layer of Draconic from like the old songs, the old hymns and everything that people used to remember.
Yeah.
And the only way they can speak this dialect is through rhythm. And say, I mean, you're not a bard, so this character is not proficient in this instrument, but they keep practicing, trying to get the rhythm to understand the meaning of the song, i.e. the language.
I'm screaming, dude. That is the coolest.
I feel like if we do an actual play, we're gonna fist fight each other over who gets to be Zz'ithur.
Who gets to play
gosh.
Who gets to be Zz'ithur?
the dope.
Another one could be they travel. One of their main goals is to travel to all of the bard colleges, trying to decipher and find a teacher to help them learn this instrument and learn this song, so they can decipher this.
Yeah. They're going to all these different colleges, meeting all of these different, these old bards who know all of the songs in all of the realms, and they're saying, do you know this one? And all of these dudes, all of these bards are like mind blown by Zz'ithur, because they're like, how do you know a song that I don't know?
Or it's almost forbidden for them to sing this song. Like the headmasters of the bard colleges, like they read this and go, leave the premises immediately. Like they know what the song is, and they just will not teach or let anyone perform said song.
They shoot him dirty looks because he pulls out a flyer that, as far as they know, is only for books down in the very, very bottom of their library that other people haven't talked about for centuries. It's literally like, how did you get this out of our restricted files? And it's like, that's my mom's song.
Oh, wow. Yeah, once again, another really rad mental image of them, and they finally get the audience with this really prestigious bard, and they go in and they pull out their lute and they play the first like 3 notes, and immediately the dude stands up and puts his hand over the strings.
Yes.
Don't.
How do you know that song? But once again, that's the song that, like you said, that's the thread that pulled them. They're walking through the field doing their normal thing, and all of a sudden they just hear it on the wind, and they turn and they look, they drop whatever they're doing and just start following it. They're walking through the streets at night, and they walk past a bar and they hear someone playing the song in a tavern. It's just another chance to follow the tune.
I've got an image of where this person is from, in an open plains village called Basir, and open plains tend to have a lot of lightning strikes, so maybe they go out, because they've been told not to play this song in town by the local bards, and they have to go out into the winds of the field during lightning storms, and they play this song. They put their heart into it. They do everything they can for the song to make sense to them while lightning is cracking around them. Rain is falling, the long tall grasses is blowing around them, and they're trying to understand the rhythm of this song.
Yeah, the thunder in time with the drums.
Yes.
Yeah, that's rad.
Getting us back on track just a hair, if we had to pick a skill, arcana, history, or religion.
History, maybe?
History, or I like arcana as well. I like the idea of them being, they just have this sort of natural kind of connection to magic.
True, I mean, they do have
they
a pact.
Yeah, they've got a pact. They're bred from magic themselves.
I think I like that actually a little bit better than history, because if they have history, then like, okay, hey, maybe I know more about this song, so I'd like them to have to do a little more soul searching, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I like that. I could also go with religion, though. Religion, so it's about that worship of the god and the pact. They have sort of like a natural understanding of how that transactional sort of relationship works.
True.
I do believe, let me look over around to Warlock. I'm going to skip ahead real quick and look at the skills for Warlock. It has Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. So they kind of stack there.
So we'll just be double tapping one of them then.
They'll just knock it off the list of the other one.
Yeah, exactly. We can kind of pick one and not feel guilty. What do you boys think?
I think Arcana. Arcana's a good one.
Yeah.
Arcana.
Yeah.
I'm with you. That's everything from our background. So now you want to hit us with the specificities of the warlock class?
Warlocks are seekers of the knowledge that lies hidden in the fabrics of the multiverse. Through pacts made with mysterious beings of supernatural power, warlocks unlock magical effects both subtle and spectacular. You must have a charisma score of 13 or higher in order to multiclass in or out of warlock. And then at first level, they get +2 proficiency bonus, they get an otherworldly patron, they get pact magic. They have 2 cantrips, they know 2 different spells, they have 1 first level spell slot, and they can only cast spells at a first level. Warlocks have an interesting way to do magic in compared to some of the other more standard classes. Their pact magic allows them to regain spells during short rest in exchange for having a drastically reduced number, I guess, of overall spells as well as spells to be used.
So does that mean that warlocks not really associated, I guess, kind of with being a caster class? They're kind of more like a hybrid?
A warlock is usually either a very good switch hitter. The Hexblade Warlock in particular is a subclass that is very, very good in melee. But then you also could combine this with maybe down the road a sorcerer where you get spell points. And then the added versatility of the gaining spells back on short rest, as well as utilizing spell points to be able to enhance certain level of spells, synergize very, very well together. And so, yeah, they jump back and forth between being full casters and switch hitters.
That could tie in really well to this character's, to Zz'ithur's story, because, I mean, they find out, oh, well, this pact is made through my mother, or some degree they do not agree with their pact anymore, so they start trying to manifest their own powers. So they start becoming, they class into a sorcerer so they can start using their own magical powers without having to rely on this pact. That way, when they do decide to usurp their mother, they don't have to rely on that pact. Or if their mother cuts that pact off and they lose their powers,
they're not entirely helpless.
Exactly.
Wise man.
Yeah.
That's just maybe something. If they decide, or if anyone decides to use this character, a little draw for you.
As always, their spell DC is 8 plus proficiency plus charisma modifier.
So if that's the case, give us that, like, give us our class features, tell us about our hit point and our proficiencies and things, so we can get our skills and all that stuff, and then we can start looking at our patron and how we can make our story stuff work into the mechanics of the game.
All right. Other abilities that warlocks get, their hit dice is a 1d8, meaning at first level your HP is 8 plus constitution modifier. They are proficient with light armor. They are proficient with simple weapons. Their saving throws are wisdom and charisma. The skills that you can choose from are 2 out of arcana, deception, history, intimidation, investigation, nature, and religion. So for us, the list sans arcana
And survival.
Well, luckily for us, warlocks don't know how to survive on their own anyway and are not proficient. They don't even have the option.
Let's see which ones out of those skills we want to pull. With us being a warlock, we're going to be focusing on charisma, the high score, so it doesn't. I'm kind of looking towards deception and intimidation, because clearly they'd just be able to use the most of their modifiers to get the highest rolls and stuff out of these. And I can definitely see intimidation being one of the things. I guess deception. Well, okay, I could see that for Zz'ithur, with them being like this organized person, this fearful person. They're willing to lie to get their way.
I'm really interested in investigation. Zz'ithur has such a purpose, such a draw. They are looking for something, and so they need to know, like, their inheritance, and so surely they are investigative, right?
Yo, I hear that. I think that's really good. I think that's really good.
So we've got investigation then. What would we say about history then? That way, they know what they are somewhat looking into. Because I'm still partial on that, because they are trying to find out the history of this ancient draconic song. And so they've learned a lot about history.
You are not lying.
No, he's Peyton.
But then you could also go with religion as well, because this is part of the religious aspect of their, say their pact, or how they grew up with their mother and their mother leaving them, and
I guess that kind of makes sense to me in the fact that their investigation is going to be leaning more towards that bubble and not into the history of the world and the other people that are going on. It's more about this specific thing.
I can see that now that you put it into words. I can see that more as a religious thing. Yeah, I think I would lean more towards that as well. Michael?
I like religion. I think that is also a really fun way to even look at it.
You quote that out of context. I like religion. Oh boy.
Just kind of generally as a vague concept. It's not bad. No, I do. I like religion because that also kind of, maybe points to the mindset that Zz'ithur has.
So our big thing that comes along with being a warlock is being able to choose your pact with your otherworldly patron. We've got quite a list here on the wiki. My gut says roll, but my head actually says that Zz'ithur may be so specific that they require us to actually choose something. What's your guys' thought process there?
This may be the one time where we have to take the initiative out of the die's hand, however you want to say it. So we may have to pick. That's at least how I'm feeling.
I think that is a wise idea.
It's interesting because as I'm looking over this list, there's not one that immediately reads as Pact with a Dragon. And we were just saying, man, these guys have thought of every possible option here.
Zz'ithur has a pact through their mother, so do we need to pick a patron? With their patron being their mother in all sense, and her being a catalyst through whatever patron, maybe that could be they're trying to find this patron through the song and figure out why their mother has this power. Who's to say?
We could leave it into the player's hands.
Mm-hmm. The DM could figure that one out.
I would even almost lean towards that, if not for the fact that at level 1 your patron has kind of an effect on the spells that you would have access to.
True. So this would almost have to be some type of home brew.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It sort of leans itself into the homebrew territory.
It'll be an ancient draconic deity of some type. Maybe we make a new deity for D&D.
Hey, I like that.
I see. Yeah, and I like the idea that then, it would just be a matter of we pick a couple of spells for them to get at first level, and then you could, it would just be a matter, I guess, like you said, consulting with your DM, making up some homebrew things for you to have at a couple of, 1st, 6th, 10th, 14th level to upgrade as your character moves along through the progression.
Yep.
Do you have any just kind of off the cuff ideas as to what we could pull, what things kind of make sense?
I would say if it's an ancient draconic deity, I feel like you would be leaning more towards, what would a dragon do kind of thing. So you'd be more elemental based. I feel like maybe you could somehow, warlocks can learn fly at some point, can't they?
That was one of the first things that came to mind for me. Maybe that wouldn't be one of the early game, but perhaps, at level 6, you get to sprout some wings and fly for 10 minutes for a day.
Because you are literally a direct descendant of an ancient dragon. So, maybe you have a little bit stronger of draconic blood, so when you cast certain spells or cantrips, you feel a weird surge, your blood starts to run, hotter, thicker, you feel like a pulse, who's to say, you don't just maybe have a slight adjustment to some of your spells, or deficiencies to some of your spells that don't have anything to do with any type of draconic lineage.
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out on this one, boys.
My ears are open.
We take the extended spell list that you would get from the warlock subclass of a deity that fits the theme, but then we look at the sorcerer draconic bloodline for the abilities. Ooh. And you replace the abilities that you would get at 1st, 6th, and 14th, the same that you would kind of with warlock. Which one of these can we switch in and out?
Just kind of creating like a hybrid
to make your own draconic patron.
I'm down.
Yeah, I like that idea because these things, the elemental affinity from the draconic bloodline would benefit the dragon wings. That's just what we were talking about. The draconic presence. That's all stuff that could benefit a warlock as well.
Right, and in being it D&D, they come in at about the same levels: 1st level, 6th level, 14th level. I think the only thing that the sorcerer gets above the warlock is another added ding dong at 18. But of course, there's some balancing issues that you'll have to work out anyway.
Certainly, yeah. I think that's a good idea. I think we stick with that. That's really cool. And then we can do things where we angle them more towards zappy kind of powers. Like shocking grasp, chain lightning, things like that.
Thunder wave. I like that a lot.
Zz'ithur the storm.
I could see that they're casting lightning cantrips and spells, by the power invoking of the ancient dragons through the channeling of myself, Thunderbolt. Just to...
of myself, the blessings of me.
What if he's the shadow of lightning because his mom is actually the storm?
Oof.
He always has that. What am I looking for? That black crow sitting over his shoulder. Those shoes to fill.
There, my friend. Would you say the shadow of the storm?
I think it was like the shadow. I think it was the shadow of lightning, but the shadow of the storm is also pretty cool.
Shadow of lightning is that. Oh, I like the way that sounds because it makes me think of whenever lightning does strike and it's insanely flashbang bright, that could make some like very intense stark shadows in that moment.
Maybe that's even what Zz'ithur means. Is that after image?
No, that's cool. That is cool. Zz'ithur is going to use their power to bring the art of photography into the world.
Dude.
But it's malicious, so it started its roots in blackmail.
Yeah. I mean, they're relatively. We're intending on them having high charisma, so they're probably going to have a bit of an artistic eye.
Tomtha, my friend, was this not you taking this coin off the ground?
Yes, right. High and mighty as you are.
Mm-hmm. Tonfa no take.
Yeah.
Then I think that is a really nice. I almost said a roll. A roll into the rolls. So I think it's time to roll your stats. So let me grab out my dice. This set of dice I got is really convenient because it has 4 d6s just in the set. So it's like built for doing this. So let's roll these dice. We're going to roll these 4 d6s. We're going to drop the lowest one for each one of our stats. We're going to roll them. I'm going to roll them 6 times. That is right. We have 6 stats. Yeah, we're going to roll them 6 times. Peyton's going to put pen to paper.
Gotcha.
Ooh, that's a good tongue twister there. Peyton puts pen to paper. Peyton puts pen to paper. All right, here comes some d6s. That's an 8. Second roll. This is exactly what we want, just to start off on a really good note where things can only go up. That'll be a 13. Not bad. Now we're talking. 9.
Looking rough so far, I would say.
Oh, boys. A 3, a 2, a 1. I cursed Zz'ithur by saying it could only go up. That's a 6.
Oh.
A 6, a 4, a 2. That's 12. 3, a 3, a 2, 8. And I believe we have one more. Is that correct, Peyton?
That's all 6, my friend.
Oh, that already was all 6?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This character is that.
No, this is a perfect opportunity. This hits the nail on the head of a very neat rule that I'd seen used at a table years ago when it came to making characters, and something like this happened.
Yeah, what's the deal?
Add up your modifiers from top to bottom. Right now we have -1, -1, -1, -2, 1, -1. You put all them together, that doesn't even equal 0. You set a certain number that collectively across the board, all of your modifiers have to meet. If they don't, then obviously a living being of that potential is not going to be adventuring. And so if you don't hit that certain number, which I I think was like a 4 or like a 6 minimum. If you don't hit that certain number, then you must roll again, because the numbers that you got previously just weren't you rolled up a commoner. You essentially rolled up a commoner, and so now you have to roll the dice again to find out what the stats actually are.
I see.
Is this our first reroll character?
I think that might be the case. I think Zz'ithur's middle name is Mulligan. Zz'ithur Mulligan Vikel. All right, well then, I think that's a really good way to explain a good reason for doing that within the world. That totally makes sense to me. Those are the stats for just a normal person, and not anyone who would actually be going on some kind of journey of self-discovery or maternal discovery.
or the offspring of an ancient blue dragon.
Yeah,
precisely.
You're so right. So, how about a 6 more roll sound?
Let's hear them dice.
Make it so. Engage. Wow. Okay, already looking better. We've got a 6, and a 5. A 17. 5, 4, 3. That's a 12. 6, 5, 5. Another 7 or 16. 6, 6, 4. 16 again.
Oh my gosh.
6, 4, 3. 13. We've got 3, 3, and 2, so that's a 8.
Wow.
What's that spread leave us with, Peyton?
Wow. That spread is inherently way better. That is the offspring of an ancient blue dragon. That is 17, 12, 16, 16, 13, and an 8.
Wow. Much, much better. Hold on, do you still have those initial numbers written down? Tell me those.
The initial roll was 8, 13, 9, 6, 12, and 8.
That's a vastly different character.
If we are playing the modifiers game, the roll 1 added up to a net -3 modifiers. The new rolls added up to a net 10.
Wow. That's astounding.
The characters you can get.
The Zz'ithur said, yeah, nah, those aren't me.
That's not my destiny.
It just pushes that aside. Just, no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through character creation, and they go make their character, and it's just a scrawny, weird-looking, gangly freak.
Yeah, they're just like, hard pass.
Nope.
And that character died of the plague. All right, next character roll.
Listen, I didn't make a bargain with God to get a 6, an 8, and a 9 on my stats.
Which of our stats do we feel like we need to prioritize?
What was the modifier? Sorry, this just came back into my head. What was the modifier for the breath attack again? That was Constitution?
Yes. The number of times per day that you can whip that bad boy out is related to your Constitution.
Correct. Yeah, that's interesting.
I would say, so this is just my thinking, but I would say this Zz'ithur here is very in tune with their lineage. So I feel like they would have at least a decent reliance upon all of their lightning, their lightning breath, and also their spells. So I feel like we should have at least a pretty decent Constitution modifier.
Constitution makes sense for me. Whenever I picture a dragon, I can't help it. The scaly, that sort of just spells hardy, I guess, to me.
Heck, I'd say we put one of the 16s in there.
Okay, so we'll put a 16 in Constitution. We definitely want that 17 in our Charisma, right? Because that's going to be our spell casting.
Yes.
And as a Dragonborn, they get a natural +1 on their Charisma, rounding it out to a sweet 18.
To our Strength as well. Is there anything that we can put into Strength? Like, for example, we could put the 13, which would get the +2 and would be enough to bump it up to another modifier.
Oh yeah, so they'd have 15.
Yeah,
right?
and I think with us going for Investigation, Arcana, Religion, all of those, if I'm not mistaken, go off of Intelligence. So I think the other 16 needs to be Intelligence. This needs to be a big-brained individual.
I agree. So, and what did we said? 13 in Strength, so 15. Okay.
So that leaves us with a 12 and an 8. Do we think this person is more or less dexterous or more or less wise?
Didn't we literally go on an entire... I say we. Didn't I literally go on an entire spiel earlier this episode about how it's hard to actually generate long-term experience without age?
You did, and you took the words right out of my mouth. So then that means 12 dex, 8 wisdom.
Now, this seems like a warlock that could potentially be up on somewhat like they could be a melee caster.
I know that the subclass of Hexblade gives you access to medium armor, but there's also a feat that I think would be really, really fun for this character. Is that there's a natural Dragonborn heritage feat where instead of your AC being 10 plus dexterity, it is 13 plus dexterity, so long as you're, I think it's so long as you're not wearing armor.
Wow.
I think that's a fun build for someone who is just as big as Zz'ithur is.
True. Maybe they rely on their heritage and they say, I don't need armor. I am armor.
I'll be up in the fray. I've got through a decent constitution modifier, through that bumped up dexterity or an AC, then they just say, hit me. I could care less. I'm gonna walk out of this battlefield covered with blood. It's either gonna be yours or mine.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think that's sick.
I will leave behind the charred remains, and you will smell the ozone as you die.
What kind of weapon do you envision Zz'ithur using?
They are limited down to just the simple weapons, so we don't have a great. We don't get a great spread. Not a bad spread, just not a big one.
That would almost, because we've already talked about the potential of doing some homebrew stuff with pulling that draconic bloodline from the sorcerers. That would, I don't know. For some reason, I see this being a very physical person. I could see Zz'ithur just using their bare hands.
That's very true. They have a pretty good strength stat.
That dragon hide feat I was talking about does give you access to claws.
Yo.
Oh my goodness, there we go.
Dude, gnarly. That's awesome.
And the idea I talked about earlier, this session is coming to life with the restraining someone and using your breath attack on them. So literally electrocuting someone while you have them in a headlock.
Oh, wow.
Like, monsters really have to think twice about running up on the caster, quote unquote, of the party. It's like, I don't know, they're jacked. I wouldn't.
Have you seen Zz'ithur? This person is huge.
Yeah, they're a head taller than me and at least 100 pounds heavier. I ain't gonna touch them. That's the wizard.
Who?
Who spits lightning?
Yeah.
Oh, you must be the barbarian. No, I'm the warlock. What?
Excuse me.
You have me confused for someone else.
Yeah. Where's your axe? I don't use an axe.
I don't need an axe.
And then they hold up their hand, and these claws are just there, and they just see like arcs across the claws, like when someone's rolling a coin in their fingers.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Or kind of like, what are those things called from 40K? Power Fist or whatever?
Yeah. The power claws.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning claws. There we go.
Lightning claw. Yeah, it would just have these arcs of lightning, like just arcing across the blades of them. That's some good mental image. We're gonna generate a bunch of blue AI art this time.
Yeah, right. That is literally what I was just now thinking. I was like, I'm excited about looking at the pictures for this.
Me too. Me too. You already know these are gonna be so sick.
Especially with it being a dragonborn, like I can only imagine what the horn situation is gonna look like.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
The horns. I wonder if there's gonna be any way, because like you say that like the horns they look like lightning strikes.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. We're gonna have to put in specifically like a blue dragonborn warlock with lightning arcing across their claws, with a smaller than average head.
yeah, tiny head.
And then the program's just gonna stop working.
So then, just to kind of give us a little bit of a recap, this episode has presented us with the child of Tiamat, the storm of Basir, Zz'ithur Vaikul. Zz'ithur Mulligan Vaikul. Zz'ithur is a blue dragonborn warlock. They're a 26-year-old chaotic, evil inheritor of the draconic bloodline of Tiamat. They are a lightning-based hybrid melee caster warlock who is pulling a couple of potential homebrew things, and then also leaving things open as far as the pact goes for a player to pick up something there or to discuss with a DM to kind of build something of their own. Or I guess if we're going with the draconic bloodline, that sort of kind of takes the place of that. But with that, I think it's time for us to slip on into a different gear. We're going to move on to second gear, which is the random fictional character.
All right. So for this week, when I do this, I generate 5 images, but I want to say we've already had a couple of these ones here, so it looks like we're going to be down to 3. This week we have Golem, we have Tarzan, and we have Sauron from Lord of the Rings.
Oh my god. What?
All of those are actually really fun sounding.
Yeah, I'm so torn-eyed. Oh, what do you guys think?
I guess I don't really know much about Sauron outside of, kind of like the base, kind of surface level stuff. So I'm more towards like split between Gollum and Tarzan, and I think my heart's leaning more towards the Wild Man.
I gotta say, I'm agreeing with you on that one, Trevor. I feel Tarzan would be kind of, almost in a sense easy to do as well. He lives in the wild. He acts like an animal. He is a...
I thought you were going to say he lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Of course he does. I'm swinging on the Tarzan vine.
Hey! All right, so we've got our man, Tarzan. I'm going to pull up my page here on the wiki. We already know he's going to be a human.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking for the class?
I'm, of course, partial to the barbarian, but, we could go somewhere else with it.
What if well, damn it, boys, he has, like open conversations with animals.
True. Oh, now are you thinking druid?
I want to meet, I think, honestly, we could meet halfway. What if he's a ranger?
Ooh, you know what? I can see that.
Yeah, now you're talking to me. Isn't there a part in one of, I want to say in the animated movie that he uses slingshot or something, right?
Yeah, the dude has a spear and he uses right?
Yeah.
What if he's a beast? What would he be, Beastmaster?
Beastmaster and have a little buddy?
He does become the leader of their what is a horde of gorillas called? Is it just a family or
a troop?
A troop? There we go. He does become the leader of the troop when I have to watch this movie. When the Kerjak, yes, when Kerjak passes away. So I could see it.
I support this decision 150%.
Yeah, because I'm looking, you see things like Natural Explorer, you say he has his favorite terrain is deep jungle like that, and then it says, difficult terrain doesn't slow you down. Heck yeah, because you're swinging on vines, baby.
Swinging on vines, doing that slide thing he does down all the tree limbs.
All the trees, yeah.
They even make reference to it when they're hacking away at all this dense jungle with machetes and everything. They even talk about how slow moving is through there, and then every other scene is Tarzan parkouring from vine to tree to elephant trunk.
Yeah.
It's built right in. It's built right into him.
Yeah, and I like this idea of the ranger who's more not about can I hit you with something really hard, with my own bare hands or whatever, but I'm going to throw this spear, and if that hits or if it doesn't miss, then I'm going to manipulate some vines and make a tree limb fall on top of you or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he knows He knows his forest. He knows his jungle so well.
Oh my gosh, I could totally see it. You know, if he's with a party and they're going through the forest or something, and like they stop for the night, and they're like, okay, well this ground is like super soggy and stuff. And he's like, and Tarzan, okay, well I'll be sleeping in this tree. If you guys want to join me, I can tie some vines together. Do whatever you want. I'm up in the trees.
Scrambles up into the canopy and he passes out in the branches of a tree.
Yeah.
Just with expert ability to forage and track as well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He definitely has every one of those survival bonuses. This man was built to be out there.
Literally raised. I was born in it, molded by it.
Molded by the gorillas.
You give him survival and animal handling skill proficiency. Yeah, I think that's wicked, man. I think that makes for a really it's funny how well, and he had thrown weapon fighting is part of the fighting style potentially for a ranger. Wow, you were like, I mean, that one came at you like a fastball and you knocked it out of the park, brother.
Yeah, because I was thinking more simplistic. I was thinking just straight barbarian. Yeah, he knows how to hit things. But no, you definitely corrected my course of thinking.
I'm still laughing at the Bane scene. Molded by it.
Tarzan, but he's got like the weird mask on his face.
I didn't see man till I was already a man, and by then I was a gorilla.
Not even speaking all of this, he's just making gorilla noises the whole time.
Yeah, that's like the inner monologue, and then like on the outside he's just hooting and hollering, and like people can't understand him.
Tarzan doesn't know common.
Right, that was gonna say is like the one detriment to playing the character is you cannot communicate with the rest of the party.
Unless someone has animal speak to speak to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Someone in the party always has to have it like on deck just in case they need to communicate with Tarzan.
Well, his animal companion is actually well versed in like sign language, and so they have to speak with the gorilla.
And the gorilla is the translator.
Yeah, the gorilla
just signing the whole time.
Yeah.
I love that.
They sign it to the gorilla, and the gorilla speaks it to him. He shuffles some leaves around, kicks on some stuff for a second, and the gorilla translates that back into sign language.
Oh, I think we've rolled Tarzan. What do you guys think?
I that was ridiculous how effortless that just came along.
There it went. It was beautiful and perfect.
Wow. Yeah, so we've had a really interesting conversation today. We've on this beautiful Sunday that we've gathered, we've put out a fascinating character that once again, I think I said it earlier, but this is a character I'd want to play. This is a character that I want to figure out.
Yeah, this is intrigue on top of intrigue.
And I think it shows what we were talking about earlier is how we didn't even care about, actually figuring out the actual stat block for the character. We were more busy figuring out how did this character come about? What's the history? What's the backstory? What's the drive? And that just kind of shows, I think, that it's a unique character with a lot of potential.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I would truly love to see either one of us play this character, or someone, takes this character and takes this episode and really runs with it. And I would love for them to keep us updated if they ran this character. What is your progression of this character? What is your DM's thoughts? Where are you guys taking this? Keep us updated. And I would say this for any of our characters, if any of you guys do decide to take these characters, we do have them on our Discord available with their character sheets. And if you take these characters and you run a campaign with them, or even a one-shot with them as either your player characters, your NPCs, whatever it may be, let us know. We would love to hear how you implemented them into your campaigns. And, what was the events, what was the turnout, what was the situation leading up to the introduction or the death maybe of these characters.
Oh yes, please. Nothing would put a bigger smile on my face and on my heart than the idea that anybody took the character that we had designed and run with it. I would love to hear about anything that any of these characters might wind up doing.
Yeah, please. We're all about wanting some more of that interaction. So give us that spiel. Tell us what's on your mind. Peyton, how can they reach us?
So they can reach us on, we've got our TikTok, we've got our YouTube, we've got our Spotify, Instagram, and our Twitter, if I hadn't said so already. Along with that, we also have our Discord up, where you can grab our character sheets like I mentioned earlier.
Right on. So we've got Zz'ithur Vaikul. We've got Tarzan, the man of the wild. Awa, I believe he said something along those lines. And on that note, guys, be good, love each other, smile more. It'll do good things for you. I'm Trevor.
I am Michael.
And I'm Peyton.
And this has been Roll Your Stat.